Good morning, my math students. Today, we are going to continue our work with finding the area of composite figures. Before we begin today's lesson, I'd like you to take out the homework sheet that you worked on last night. So here is a picture of what the first problem looks like on the homework. There were 4 problems. There were 2 problems on the front and 2 problems on the back. So please hit pause, locate this worksheet, and then come back and you'll see the answers. Okay, so I am going to take the time to carefully go over this. So I separated this composite figure into 3 figures. I made this a rectangle, so I drew this dotted line right here. And the area of this rectangle was 6 times 5, which was 30. Then I separated it right here, so I got a triangle and a rectangle. This triangle was base times height divided by 2. So here's how I knew the dimensions of the triangle. I knew this whole line was 15. That's what this 15 represents. And I knew that from here to here was 12 because this was 7 plus 5 because opposite sides are equal. 7 plus 5 is 12. So 15 minus 12 means that this piece had to be 3 because 12 plus 3 makes 15. The way I got the height of the triangle was I knew this whole line was 10, and then I knew from here to here was 6, so 6 plus 4 has to equal 10. So the area of this triangle was 6, and here's all my work for that. And then the area of this rectangle was 12 times 4, which was 48. And when I added up all my 3 areas, 30 plus 48 plus 6, that gave me 84 inches squared. Okay, here's problem number 2. I separated it, I drew this line, so I made this a triangle and a rectangle. My rectangle was 8 times 5, so it had an area of 40. My triangle, the way I knew that this was 5 was because this whole line is 8, and this is 1 plus 2 is 3, so you need 5 more to make 8, because 3 plus 5 make 8. So base times height divided by 2 was 5 times 5 divided by 2, which was 12.5, and when I added my 2 areas together, 40 plus 12.5 is 52.5 centimeters squared. Okay, problem number 3. So I separated the inside. So you needed to find the area, the total of the shaded region. So the inside, I separated it. I drew this line. So this rectangle right here had an area of 8. Okay, and I showed my work here for that. And this had an area of 4 because I knew that this was 2. This whole thing was 4. Okay, and the way I knew that was this 4 right here. It's a little confusing. This 4 right here represented this whole line. And I knew that from here to here was 2. So this had to be 2 also. So 2 times 2 was 4. When I added together the white part right here, these 2 rectangles right here, actually the rectangle and the square, I got 8 plus 4, which is 12. So the total unshaded had an area of 12, and the total shaded right here, this total rectangle right here was 8 times 9, which was 72. And now when I subtract 72 minus 12, because this white piece is missing, 72 minus 12 is 60. In the last problem, I separated it into a trapezoid on the bottom, and this actually came out to be a rectangle on the top. So this rectangle had an area of 18. The trapezoid, the bottom base was 10, the top base was 6, and I knew the height of this trapezoid was 3. So I plugged in all my numbers in my formula, and when I did that, I got 24. So 24 plus 18 had to equal 42. So that was last night's homework assignment. Okay, so we know a composite figure is a figure made up of 2 or more 2-dimensional figures, such as this. You can separate this going across this way. You can draw a line this way or this way to get your 2 separate rectangles. Okay, so what I'd like you to do right now is you should have this printed out in front of you because that was in the direction sheet in the directions for Google Classroom. I want you to try to find the area. Okay, I'm going to let you hit pause. Try to separate this into two separate figures. Maybe you want to draw a line going down like this, and find the area of both and add them together. Please hit pause. Okay, so here is my answer. So first I drew a line going down this way. I gave you that hint. The area of my rectangle was 7 times 5, which was 35. And the area of my triangle, well, I had to figure out the height. And the way I did that was this whole piece right here is 9, and up to this point is 7. So you needed 2 more right here to get to 9. 7 plus 2 is 9. So the height was 2. The base was 5, because I knew opposite sides are equal. And 5 times 2 divided by 2 is 5. When I added those two areas together, I got 40 centimeters squared. Let's try the next one, which is very similar to the one we just did. So I would cut it this way, draw a line going this way, find the area of the rectangle, the triangle, and add them together. Please hit pause. Okay, so the final answer to this problem was 87.5 centimeters squared. So I separated it with this line going down into a triangle and a rectangle. My rectangle had an area of 70, 10 times 7 is 70. And my triangle, again, I had to find the missing height. I knew that this was 7, the base, because opposite sides are equal. And the way I got the height was this whole piece right here is 15, and this was 10. So 15 minus 10 makes 5. And when I found the area of the triangle, I got 17.5. You have to add your areas together, and I got 87.5 centimeters squared. I'd like you to read this problem, and I'd like you to try to find the area of this figure. Again, it's a triangle and a rectangle. You're going to do the same thing we just did, find the area of both, and add them together. Please hit pause. Okay, so my final answer was 467.4 feet squared. So here's how I got that. My triangle had a base of 22.8 because opposite sides are equal. And the way I found the height was I subtracted 26.5 minus 14.5 to get this distance right here, the height. So I subtracted those numbers, which gave me 12. When I found the area of my triangle, it came out to be 136.8 feet squared. My rectangle was 22.8 times 14.5. Okay, I wouldn't use the 26.5 because that's this whole distance right here. And the rectangle, the width was 14.5. So when I multiply those two numbers together, I got 330.6. When you add the two areas together of the triangle and the rectangle, this is your final answer. Okay, let's go on to the next problem, which I'd like you to find the area of this composite figure. So think about how you're going to do that. Hit pause, and when you come back, you'll see the answer. Okay, so there's lots of different ways you can do this, but the way I did it was I separated into two triangles, this big one right here, and then this one, and both triangles were equal. I saw that if I was going to find one triangle, the other triangle would be the same. You could have separated into four triangles if you wanted to also. So the area of this triangle's top triangle right here had a height of 4 and a base of 9. I had to add together the 6 plus the 3 to make 9. So 9 times 4 is 36, divided by 2 is 18. So the top triangle was 18 and the bottom triangle was 18. I added them together. 18 plus 18 is 36 inches squared. Okay, so let's move on to the next problem. And in this problem, what I would recommend you doing is I would recommend you drawing a line across like this. And these are two trapezoids, okay, two trapezoids that are exactly the same. So I would find the area of each trapezoid and add them together. Hit pause. Okay, so my trapezoids, the way I found the area of them, well, they were both the same. So I knew once I found one, the other one was exactly the same. So the top, you have to know the formula for the area of trapezoid, and I gave you that on the formula sheet. The top base is 5.5. This bottom base is 8 because that's the distance from here to here. And the way I knew the height was I took 6 and I divided it by 2 because I cut it in half. So that this is 3 and this is 3. So the height of this trapezoid was 3. So when I plugged in the numbers into my formula, I added the bases times the height, divide by 2. I got 20.25 for each trapezoid. And when I added them together, I got 40.5 feet squared. Okay, we're going to do this last problem together. You're going to find the area of the triangle, the rectangle, and add them together. Please hit pause. Okay, so my final answer was 145. And the way I got that was my rectangle had an area of 120. My triangle had an area of 25. 10 times 5 divided by 2. And when I added together my two areas, I got 145. I realize we have time actually for one more. So what I want you to do is I want you to find the area of this whole entire thing, okay, which is a rectangle, if you draw a line across here. And you're going to have to subtract the area of the triangle because that's missing. So please do that and hit pause, and when you come back, you'll see the answer. Okay, so I drew a line across here, and to find the area of this triangle, the base was 7.8, and this represents the height, which was 3. So 7.8 times 3 divided by 2, base times height divided by 2, came out to be 11.7. And the entire rectangle, including that triangle, is 9.3 times 7.8, which was 72.54. The reason I had to subtract is because this is missing. You want to find the area of the shaded region. And the shaded region is the rectangle minus the triangle. So anytime there's a white piece and you're asked to find the area, something's missing, you have to subtract. Okay, so let's look at tonight's homework assignment. So tonight's homework is a few problems. Number 1, you have 4 triangles on the sides and you have a square in the middle. So I would find the area of the 4 triangles and the square and add them together. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, this is a trapezoid right here. It's a trapezoid and a triangle. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to find the height of the trapezoid, which is actually a 6. This 6 represents the height. So these are the bases of the trapezoid, the height. 10 is the base of the triangle. So you're going to use your formula sheet attached. Here, what you're going to do is you could find the area of the two triangles and the rectangle and add them together. So do the best you can on this. Here you're going to have to subtract the piece that's missing. Do the best you can, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.